Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and I will be doing my monthly wrap-up. I'm filming on a weird day. Usually I film on thingamabobs Fridays, but because I realised the month is ending soon and also there's a whole bunch of busy stuff happening because A-levels, I thought I would film today, which is a Wednesday afternoon, so a bit later in the day. I hope the lighting is alright. We'll see about that. I'm also talking a bit more quietly because my mum's in the next room, my brother's in the other room trying to revise. He's got GCSEs, so I'll have to boost up the audio, but hopefully this will be alright. Okay, great, let's get into it. So in the month of April, I think I said May earlier, but yes, it's April. In the month of April, I read 6 books, which isn't as good as I was hoping to get this month, but I'm pretty satisfied with it anyway. So the first book that I read was a very short introduction to archaeology, which I thought was basically what it says in the tin. It's a very short introduction to archaeology. I'm reading this because I'm doing archaeology at university, and I thought I ought to know the basics of archaeology first. I also found this one to be pretty good. Before that, having read this not so short book on archaeology beforehand, it felt a little brief compared, but this was a really great introduction. It discusses more of like the modern issues of archaeology than like the history, so you get a little look into the ethics of it, and you get some discussions on the way archaeologists have been kind of shitty in the past, and also interactions with Native American communities and such, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, totally recommend it if you're interested in archaeology. Okay, great. So I read Eric by Terry Pratchett, which is a story about a person who is trying to summon a demon but accidentally summons the wizard Rincewind instead. Now, this is the, I don't actually know what book this is in the Discworld series, but it is a Discworld novel, and I found it to be a pretty fast-paced plot. There's basically no fluff. It found some of the classical references in this really entertaining, being a classicist and all that, and having studied like the epic cycle and things. So I did super duper enjoy this. It is very much a product of its time in a lot of ways, but you know, all of them are. So we'll let that slide. I think a lot of the time when I'm talking about books, I often have to think about, is it a product of its time? Like, based on the other things I've read from that sort of time period, how do I feel about this in comparison? And then if I feel like this is way grosser than a lot of other people writing at this time, then I'm like, ooh, which is leading me on to a later book that I will talk about, but until then. Also read Witchery by Juliet Diaz. This was for my occult book of the month, which I should have up soon. I'm hoping to film it this week, I don't know, but it's an introduction to witchcraft written by a healer and a seer, and one of my all-time favourite witches, I must say. I have several thoughts on this book. I'll go into them way more in depth, but overall I thought it was a really good introduction. If anyone's just, generally, even if you're not trying to be a witch and you're just curious about how the other side lives, if you will, this is really great. Like, I personally found it super helpful. I knew most of the stuff in it already, but obviously I was reading it to recommend it as a resource to other people, so that's not really an issue for me. But yeah, I thought it was pretty. Next book on my list is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Polhurst, and I gave this 3 stars. I think I might have lowered it, I don't remember. But essentially it is a story about a girl who is betrothed to another person from another kingdom, but when she's there she accidentally falls in love with his sister. And it's very political, and if you've seen my review, you'll know that I didn't particularly like it that much. I did find... Okay, here's the thing. There's a difference between books that I personally was entertained by and books that are good. And this is a book which I, while was entertained somewhat by it and enjoyed reading it at times, I didn't think was that good objectively. So I rated this 3 stars because that's the way I balance the two. But generally, like, you can see my thoughts even more in depth in the review, so I'm not going to go into it here. But yeah, okay, moving on. So talking about products of their time. So this is Hesiod. I read both Theogony and Works and Days just because I was curious, interested, not on the syllabus or anything. I thought I might as well catch up on it. I don't really like Hesiod, first of all, so obviously I'm going to be a bit biased. I way prefer Homer. Getting into some classics discourse, I prefer Homer. I didn't enjoy this actually no, I found it interesting, pretty swift moving, whatever, but it's also very, very sexist, and like obviously like everyone in Ancient Greece was a raging misogynist, like we all know that, but this was particularly blatant about it. Let me find some lines on let's find, okay, so first of all keeps referring to people as fertile wives, which is interesting, but sure. And then there's also this little bit about Pandora, which is the most misogynist myth of all time, which says, "From her is descended the female sex, a great affliction to mortals." So, you know, I am glad to identify as a great affliction to mortals. But yeah, read Hesiod if you're a classicist, don't read Hesiod if you're anything else. This is not for you, this is not fun, this is not enjoyable. Just save yourself the trouble. I also read, and I don't have the physical copy with me, but I read Thingamabob. I read The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, and I gave it 4 stars, I think. At first I wasn't really flying with it because it was like kind of slow to begin with, but then as I read more I was like, okay, I like where this is going. It gets good about 65% of the way in, which I know is a pretty long time to wait, but it's fairly entertaining up until then. You get world building, you get character development, you get found family, which is my all-time favourite trope. So yes, I found it really good. I'm really happy that I gave it the chance that I needed to give it, because at the end of the last thingy, my Grease vlog, you'll see me being like, I don't know if I should keep reading it, but I kept reading it. It was good. Okay, and finally in the month of April I read this, which is a little storybook of children's tales, but they're Celtic in origin, so this is not the standard fairy tale. I found them all really adorable. I love them. As an author, the entire time I was like reading it, I was thinking, how could I make this into a modern retelling? And yeah, I just really, really thought a lot of these were quite sweet. I've noticed something about them is that they have less clearly defined morals. Also the illustrations. And like this edition is so gorgeous. Like, I absolutely adore this. If you're interested in Celtic folklore, may I offer you this? So that is it for the books that I read in April. I keep mixing the months up in my head. Let's move on to what I am currently reading, which is A Gathering of Shadows. I'm finally reading the second book in the Dark Shades of Magic series, or Shades of Magic I think they're calling it. I am currently on page 29, which is, I think, fair enough for me. I started it last night, literally. I am enjoying it, I think. So I remember really, really loving A Dark Shade of Magic. It is one of my comfort reads. It is kept up in my self-care package, up on the top of my shelves where you can't see it, so I don't know why I'm pointing. And it is there for me to reread whenever I need it, because it is a big old comfort read for me, and I love it. But this one I'm finding so far, like the premise, the start, obviously it's just the start, but it's less comfortable to me, if that makes sense. It's got a lot of snark, it's got a lot of attitude, kind of. I still feel like the Shades of Magic series is the peak of Schwab's writing style, like is where it shines best, and I absolutely adore it, and I think this is really good. So I'm hoping this will be at least 4 stars. We will see. So enough of my reading. What am I writing currently? I'm still working on The Scepter of the Silver Sun. I have hit 12,000 words as of yesterday. Indeed. I have been writing 1,000 words a day for the past 12 days, just so that I can, because I'm zero drafting, so I'm going to try and fly through it, but I'm getting caught up in different scenes. I've hit a scene with a bunch of fairies on Beltane, or Beltany. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, please someone correct me down below if you need to, which is so appropriate. I love it so much. I can't wait to talk more about the process of this novel because I feel like I am actually going to be able to do a progress update fairly soon. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, as for shows and podcasts, I am still listening to The Witch Wave. I've started listening to Tarot for the Wild Soul, I think, or Wild Soul Tarot? Healing Tarot for the Wild Soul? I don't know the name. I'll put it in the description or up on the screen. Who knows? I started listening to that as well. So this month has mostly been re-listening to old episodes of The Witch Wave because I love that podcast so much. And Tarot for the Wild Soul, which I found through The Witch Wave. So obviously love it. On top of that, I've also been watching a bunch of new shows. So my friend and I started watching, I think, the new Moomins TV series, which is Moominvalley. We've seen one episode. It's not like a big thing, but I think it's super adorable. I'm mostly getting into it just because of the fan art. It's just so cute. Like, it's one of the purest communities of people like I've ever seen. Everyone is so sweet and so kind, and everything is so adorable, and there's no discourse that I've come across yet, so we'll have to see about that, but I'm not intending to get super deep into that community because I know that when I do I find weird stuff, so it's like, just gotta keep it pure and sweet. I've also been watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I am on the second episode of the first season. I know a lot of witches don't like it. I personally think it's great. Like, having listened to The Witch Wave, I know that one of the writers is a witch himself, and the way that he talks about it, like, it's very clearly meant to be satirical, and I find it funny. Like, it's kind of a guilty trash show. It is what Riverdale should have been to me, because I don't watch Riverdale anymore, and I'm very happy with it. I've also been hearing a lot of Game of Thrones spoilers, but I don't currently watch Game of Thrones, so I just know a bunch about what's happening in the final season, so that's great. I'll watch Game of Thrones eventually, I promise. I'm trying to remember other series that I've been watching. I don't watch enough TV, do I? No. So that is it for this wrap up, I believe. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Hopefully this will go up on the first Saturday of May as intended. If it does not, sorry. I'll try better next month. Anyway, or actually no. Okay, one more thing. I have exams coming up. All of next week. I've been pre-recording a bunch of videos, like trying to get it in with my school schedule and revision and everything like that, because I have an art exam next week and I have a class civ exam on the first day of the exam season. The second week of exams I have another class civ, another geography, and then the week after half term I have a geography, and the final exam is like the week after that, and that's another class civ. So great. Totally not stressed at all. But I am wondering actually if you would be interested in me vlogging that experience. Oh boy, I will try and do my best. Hopefully I will not be in tears as Unjaded Jade was. I love her so much. I really hope I don't suffer through the same things with my geography. But yeah, so that is a potential. If you want to see that, if you want to see my stress, my exam season routine, my whatever, just let me know down below. And even if you don't, I might do it anyway, because fuck it, this is my channel. I do what I want. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time, and I will see you again with another wrap up next month, obviously. And yeah, goodbye.